Hello, it's Bryony Rust, speech and language therapist at Salt by the Sea, and today we're talking about goals. Seems like a good place to start for the new year, right? Goals are really important when we're supporting children. It helps us to be intentional about what we're doing with a child, what activity ideas we might try out with them, and it helps us to make sure that all the adults around a child have a clear understanding of what we're aiming for and how they can help. So in this video, I want to share with you a few different ways that you can think about setting goals and that kind of create that direction of travel for how you help your child with their speech, language and communication development. That's the goal, at least. See what I did there? Okay, let's get cracking. When it comes to supporting children's speech, language and communication, there's often a real emphasis on identification, early identification. There's lots of checklists and information out there about what to expect when, so that we can identify those children who need extra help. So often I'll have a chat with preschool practitioners who will say, I've identified the children that need extra help and I'm going to put them in a language group. But sometimes there's this missing essential step in between identifying the child and putting them in a group, and that is, what have you identified? What is the specific skill that a child is finding difficult? What is a thing that they need help with? Maybe the child struggles to pay attention, maybe they struggle to understand the words said to them, maybe it's hard for them to use a nice broad range of words themselves, perhaps specific sounds are tricky for them to articulate. What are the broad headlines of things that a child finds difficult? If you have a sense of that, then it can help you to plan and talk with the adults around so that you can be sure you're all supporting them. There's lots more details to these broad headlines, of course, and I've laid it all out nicely for you in a workbook. If you want to grab my free mini workshop, I'll pop the link below so that you can kind of get into some of the details of that. And that's your next step, is kind of focusing in. Okay, so if we've got a headline of vocabulary, using a broad range of words as being a target for a child, then we can get more specific. What kind of words do they need help with? We can focus in, or maybe it's action words or describing words. If the headline is speech sounds, what focused in on, what is the specific sound that they find tricky? What's a good one that you could try out within your time with them? When you get more specific, that helps you to be really intentional about what you're modeling in your play with them, what you're listening out for and encouraging in them, and what you're pointing out in everyday situations. Now, in speech and language therapy sessions, we often set SMART targets. So the really specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time-bound targets. And this helps us to be really objective and concrete in knowing what we're helping a child practice and knowing when they've achieved it. Tick! I have a complex relationship with SMART targets because they don't capture everything. Sometimes with a SMART target we can become quite kind of blinkered. We can have real tunnel vision on the specific plan in front of us, and then we lose confidence in having that kind of freedom, flexibility and creativity to follow the child's lead and to be able to support their learning within what the child's interested in. And so this is why I really like Penny Lacey's SCRUFFY targets. When we set targets that are student-led, creative, relevant, unspecified, fun for youngsters, then that gives us this kind of broader brushstroke. It means that we can follow what the child's interested in and feel confident that we know generally what we're looking for in the child without having to stick too much to the script. So it's the difference between, by the end of the month, Casey will be able to use 3 new action words independently when presented with relevant pictures, and Casey will explore different action words with an adult in free play. Now with the SMART target, it's going to be easy for you to know when the child's achieved it. That's useful. With the SCRUFFY target, it's going to be easier for you to be flexible and notice what you're listening out for in the child and to have fun together in following the child's lead. Both have their place. Both are a way that we can think about being intentional and have clear goals for what we're helping a child to achieve. If SMART targets are your back of the net goal, you know when it's in the net, then perhaps scruffy targets are more like planting a seed. We have a sense of what we're hoping for the child, but there's still a sense of waiting to see how it unfurls, and we can focus on creating a nurturing, nourishing environment to help that child grow. All of these goals help us to then plan for activity ideas and things that we might do with a child. What are your headlines? What are your broad brushstrokes of things that your child needs some help to practice? If you let me know in the comments, then I'll have a look for some themes, and in some future videos, I'll share some activity ideas that help us support a child with those goals, whether they are SMART or scruffy. Thank you so much for joining me today. I think you're doing an awesome job. Here's to a good year full of fun and play and learning with your child. Remember, every tiny step you take together is a step in the right direction. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.